The Syrian army has been completely taken by surprise and repelled from Aleppo by rebel forces. And Syria's President Assad losing Aleppo is nearly a death blow because this is their largest city with 2 million people in it. It is also their major economic hub. Early in the civil war, around 2012, Aleppo was taken by the rebels, or at least parts of it, and when it was fully recaptured by the Syrian army in 2016, it took almost all of the hope out of any chance of defeating Assad. And then suddenly, a few days ago, a lightning coordinated assault happened against the Syrian army, and every rebel faction agreed to not fight one another at all, to just aim themselves at one enemy. This may be the end for President Bashar al-Assad because they are no longer backed by a strong Russia or a strong Iran. 10 years ago, Russia didn't have to worry about a costly war with Ukraine where they lost over 700,000 troops, a huge portion of their economy and diplomatic standing. And Iran didn't have to worry about their terror groups being decimated by the IDF and getting missile attacks from that same organization. This is really bad for Iran because they use Syria as a training ground to disrupt Israel and other Western interests in the Middle East. And it's equally bad for Russia because they rely on Syria to be their only open port to the Mediterranean Sea in Tartus. If the Assad regime falls, Russia loses their only port there, and it's more humiliation for the Russian military since they are the #1 backer of the Assad regime, and they were the ones who got pushed back. Russia and Iran are far too overstretched to maintain their own regimes. Do you think they can actually do anything right now for Syria? You may be thinking, well, they've only taken Aleppo. They haven't taken the capital, which is Damascus. Well, look at how close Damascus is to Lebanon and Israel, both staging grounds for the IDF. Senior Israeli military officials said that the Israeli army would not just strike weapon shipments, but al-Assad's regime would pay for aiding Hezbollah. So expect increased Israeli incursions into this region. Look at Syria's northern neighbor of Turkey. The Turkish president has been condemning Israel left and right and also spitting in the face of a lot of NATO policy. But the rebel groups that took out the Syrian army in Aleppo are also backed by armed factions supported by Turkey. For all we know, Turkey and Israel are cooperating on taking down the Assad regime. And that severs the most important nexus point between Russia and Iran. Now, there's a point of concern for the main group of forces that kicked out Assad's troops. Let's just call them HTS. They're known for having a lot of similar ideologies to much scarier fundamentalist groups. But reports are coming out that over the past few years, they have become much more pragmatic and less dogmatic. The question for the world is, which regime would be worse? Bashar Assad's or Hayat al-Tahrir al-Sham, or some other rebel group that may have strict fundamentalist values? And the answer to that is any regime that takes out Assad is not going to be on the friendly side of Iran and Russia. And if that new regime can reunite the entirety of Syria and still give sovereignty and autonomy to the Kurds, then it's a win-win. I am the Geo Husar, and there is a chance that the Trump presidency will see a regime change in Russia, Iran, and Syria. Thanks for watching.